All right, all right. Welcome to this second episode of Warrior Week, the podcast, Parables from the Pit. Today's conversation is going to be conversations of fathers and son. In the studio, I have with me Rusty Ram and Christian Ram, father and son, both graduates of Warrior Week and Warrior X. How you doing, guys?
Doing good, Sam. Thanks for having us here today.
All right.
Doing very good.
Good. Inside of this, we're going to talk about conversations of what led Rusty to Warrior Week and how his decision impacted Christian. And inside of that, we're going to hear Christian's story. We're going to hear Rusty's stories. And we're going to hear stories from 3 or 4 other fathers and son that went through a similar journey. But the most intense journey of father and son that I've personally witnessed inside of this game for the past 4 years has been the story of Christian and the story of Rusty. So to begin with, we're going to start with Rusty, man. Rusty, you watched the videos, and then something inside of you said, reach out. Just go back to that moment and tell us, what were you thinking? What made you reach out, and what was the purpose and the goal that you were coming inside of this game, Rusty?
Sure. So actually, we just entered into this conversation last week, and how I ended up in Warrior, and so the story's fresh in my mind, and always will be. This is fall of last year, and my life for several years was a dark place, and the one place that wasn't dark for me was business. I was producing. Things were going well. You know, we've got multi-million-dollar companies, and because so much of the rest of my life was not working for me, I'd found this pattern that I'd gotten into where I was just devoting all my time, energy, and focus to business. And, I had a big hole inside of me, a big pit inside of me. And I came across, on Facebook, I came across the Warrior video. I watched it, 7, 8, 9 times. And I put in my information to apply to come and attend Warrior Week. The very next morning, I got on an airplane and flew to a business conference in Cleveland, Ohio. And it was about 11:30 in the morning. I got a call or a text from Sam saying, I've got your application. I need to do a phone interview with you in 45 minutes. And I'm sitting in this conference, bored out of my mind. And prior to your text, I'm looking for any reason to find a way out of this conference to go do something. Because it was really boring.
Yeah.
And then you send the text, you got to talk to me in 45 minutes. And what do? I start creating a story in my mind that I'm too busy to talk to you because I really don't want to face the shit. I'm thinking, wow, do I really want to do this? So after thinking, you know what, maybe I should step out of this conference. And initially I said to you, I'm too busy. I'm at a conference.
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
Your response was, you must not be very serious. So, yes, I stepped out of the conference, spent 30 minutes on the phone with you, and had my credit card out, and there I was.
Beautiful. So we're going to go back to this dark period. How old are you when you actually reach out?
46.
46. So 46, a 46-year-old, business seems to be working. Your leadership in business, at least your version was it was working. You were putting food on the table for multiple families. How many employees overall?
Directly, indirectly, thousands of people.
Thousands of people. So we're talking about a guy that puts food on the table for 1,000 and plus families. Business is working for some reason, and everything else in your life didn't seem to fulfill you and didn't seem to create this place where you can say, man, I feel happy. But you had everything to be happy. When you look back, beautiful boy, beautiful daughter, your wife, the house, the cars, everything is there. From the outside, it looks like everything is in place, but from the inside, you feel darkness. So we're going to go to Christian right now, and just last year, how was this darkness, this gap between you and your dad then was affecting you?
So going back to then, because he was in such a dark place inside, it started reflecting on the outside and on our family, just My mom, sister, me, we all weren't getting along very well, and kind of were just stuck in these motions every day where I don't even know how to explain it. We just weren't happy. It was just coasting through each day, wasting it.
So talk to me about particular habits and your routine, right? So like let me just answer this question in a way that you can understand better. Like what the fuck were you doing every day? What was your pattern every day?
So my daily pattern just to escape all that shit was I'd go use drugs, I'd go drink with my friends, I'd just escape every single day. And I even took it to the point where I thought the best thing in the world would be to move to Colorado and just sit and weed had been recreationalized, so I was just sitting there smoking every day, being in a ski bum basically.
Okay, and how old were you?
21.
21. Now, Rusty, let's go back to Rusty. This is happening, right? This is happening right underneath your leadership. How much of this are you aware of it? How much of it you were aware of but didn't want to really deal with or didn't want to believe that Christian is turned into this guy that is disconnected and, you know, smokes weed every day and kind of like, you're like, fuck, I just don't want to believe this shit, that he's become this guy. This is not the Christian I fucking know. This is not the Christian I raised. But yet, you talk about darkness, that's exactly what it is this battle between the reality and what's actually taking place with your own fucking son. So talk to us about that, Rusty. Like, how are you dealing with all this shit, man?
I dealt with it in many different ways, Sam. Sedating myself, pretending it's not going on.
Yep.
Diving more and more into work. If I work 18, 19 hours a day and just come home and sleep, I don't have to face the fucking reality I don't want to deal with. I tried lots of different things, but inside I just felt this pain, and I knew there was a problem. I guess I didn't know what the solution was, and I didn't know where to find the solution.
Beautiful. I'm gonna share a little story with you, and I think I felt maybe 100 or 1,000th of the pain that you felt. But I want to give you a specific example. Like, my son is 8, and we went back to Canada to visit my parents not too long ago. And, you know, the grandparents, and they're spoiling him, Kit Kat, Oreos, chips, and there's a fucking bag, like almost a garbage bag, that he, like, all day he's eating that shit. Normally at home he doesn't eat that. Like, he doesn't. So he's being spoiled, right? And I started, like, I tried to stop it, but it's happening anyway, right? They're sneaking all the shit inside of the bed. And so he comes back, and he gained some weight. Like, he literally, at 8-year-old, gained some weight. And I'm watching this, and it's painful for me to see him gaining this weight because he's pretty athletic. He's plays soccer. He's swimming nowadays. I'm like, okay, like, this is going to be in between of what he's trying to do. Yet, I don't want to tell him because I kind of don't want to believe that he's turning into this obese kid. So I'm dealing with all these dilemmas. I'm dealing with all these, like, something is going on. I don't know how the fuck to deal with it. Like, all of me, inside of me, wants to come out hard at him and say, hey, stop fucking eating this shit, and you gain some fucking weight, and you look fat. To an 8-year-old, right? And to some extent, it did come out because I was trying to fucking sedate it. And at one point, I dead bursted, but it was to release my pain more than to guide him. So, and obviously this is a small problem. So the solution was just to pull him back to his own habits and routine. And he's been playing soccer for the past 10 days. Actually, Christian was there to watch him in his practice. And so today he's running and he's leaner, right? Because kids gain and lose so much. Like, they change so quickly. But I'm telling you this story because I wanna somehow have the empathy that I feel your pain, but I actually don't, man, because I don't know. I don't know how painful that is at 21, and it's not about food anymore or anything. Like, it's not a little problem we're talking about. We're talking about, like, disconnection. So let's talk about that pain, man. The pain is inside of you. There's nowhere to talk about it, right? You can't talk about this shit to your wife because it looks like you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Can't talk about to your employees. Can't talk about to your managers. Can't talk about to your brother, sister. Like, there's no place to say, hey, man, I'm failing as a fucking father. And if you look back and everything that you've done for your son is like everything tells you, no, man, you haven't failed. But yet there's this unnecessarily gap that has taken place. Why the fuck I find myself in this fog and I can't even see my fucking son? Same goes for you. Like your dad is so far away. And, the story goes back. You guys are like snowboarding with each other. You guys are like racing boats. I mean, like you guys spend a lot of time. And like last year, it was a period where there's this fucking fog. Let's talk about the fog. You have no idea how the fog came in, but it was there. Let's talk about that pain, man. How painful it was to be in that fog, Rusty.
Man, it was tough, Sam. I always prided myself, I guess, in having the solutions to problems. It's in business. Essentially that's what we are as problem solvers in business. And I remember thinking, well, something's fucking wrong with me. Like, why can I do this in my business all day, but I can't get this connection with my son, with my daughter that I want, and I know they wanted it, but it just wasn't happening. And you're right, I couldn't speak to my wife because as disconnected as I was to my son and daughter, I was that disconnected, equally disconnected to my wife. And I remember driving home from work at night. Sometimes driving home I have a tear in my eye and I'm thinking, man, I just want to walk in and find some deep, real, true connection. No surfacey bullshit. So when we say how was your day, we're not just doing it to be courteous, like we really fucking mean it. And we couldn't get there. And at the end of the day, I knew I was the problem. But again, I just couldn't find the solution from within me. And I had a lot of shit inside of me, that led me to that place. A lot of my own, the way I grew up. I went through a lot of adversity and challenges growing up myself as a kid. And, today I know those were huge gifts to me. I didn't know that at the time.
Yeah.
And it was like a bad wound that I'd never dealt with. And it was like it was spreading to my family now. And it was painful for me. It was really painful, knowing that my own fucked up belief system, efforts and things had spewed out of me and now impacting the people that I love the most.
Beautiful. And let's talk about that pain for you, Christian. Like how are you feeling that pain as a young 21-year-old?
So it was kind of a like father, like son kind of deal right there. I would watch him every day, and he was in all this pain, and he wouldn't talk about it. And since we were so disconnected, he'd kind of just shut it out. And that's kind of how I learned how to do it, is each day, if I had something bothering me, if I had something that was just fucking me up in the head, I wouldn't talk about it. It would just push it clear back to the back of my brain and forget about it. Let's just go smoke with my friends, and it's just nothing to worry about. And every day, I'd wake up, and in the morning, I'd immediately have to smoke because the first thought was, I fucking hate what I'm doing every day. That was my first thought every morning. Was just, all right, just shut it down.
Yeah. Did you miss spending time with your dad?
Yeah. I mean, we would hang out, but it wasn't like when we were younger where there was this deep connection with it, or like we were really enjoying it. It was kind of like we were hanging out, but we were just together, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Just checking the checklist.
Yeah.
The old fucking checklist that, okay, we're a family, we're going to spend some time with each other. And, no one's fucking spending time with each other. Everybody's in their own little fucking world. Nowadays, it's this fucking cell phone, right? It pulls you in and it consumes you. And so you're sitting there with your family, yet you're not there. I mean, you're physically fucking there, but you're mentally not there. You're mentally in your own little world, social media, whatever the fuck that you've created for yourself. All of us are a victim of that today. And it seems that it's a norm, that it's being accepted more and more and more, and we're tolerating this shit. Like I was at the restaurant last night sitting around, and there's couples and families, and everyone is in their fucking phone. And they're eating, but their eyes is on their phone. There is no conversation. And I looked at different tables and I go, this is what they're accepting. This is what they're tolerating. And it's becoming a standard. I mean, think about this, man. Back in the days, right? Back in the days, right? So you had like, you know, you would go to your uncle's house and you were a kid and like you would sit down and like families are around and you wouldn't see anybody taking up the newspaper and start reading the newspaper while everybody else is talking. And if it would, somebody would tell them, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what are you doing? You're here as a guest. Like, you would automatically tell yourself something is wrong here, man. Why this guy is reading the news? Is he mad? Is he sad? Has he gone crazy? Well, we didn't accept that back in the days. Now the newspaper is the phone, and everybody goes into that world, and it's kind of okay. In the airports, people are fucking walking around without even looking at each other. Everybody's in their fucking phone, sitting down. In the elevator, people avoid each other to go in their own world. Avoidance is happening all over the place. So yeah, there is this huge fog of avoidance that is taking place in society, but it sits at home. It sits in our house. It sits in our closest relationship. And so let's talk about your journey. Let's talk about you coming into Worry Week, and now, you know, it's quite an interesting journey because some shit happened. So take us through that story, and this is all part of the shift. Like, the shift wasn't for you suddenly, right? The shift was a process, and it required the story that you're going to be telling, because I know it really well. It required that story to have the gears shift in the right place, which brings us back like just a couple of weeks ago when you were here having dinner. I think it was breakfast. We're all having breakfast. Your wife, Christian, and man, it was the happiest time I fucking saw you. And I think you got up, you give some fucking speech or whatever that was, and you got up and you hugged your wife, and I kind of like quickly snapped my phone out and like took a picture. And that picture ended up being like such a beautiful picture because it was telling a story. And it was so beautiful to me because I was a witness of it, and so was Christian, and obviously yourself that lived it. And so it was a beautiful moment that I witnessed. But I want you to take us back to, you know, the process of the shift, and we'll talk about, you know, where you are today. But it all began with you coming inside of, I think, Worry Week 35, was it?
Yeah. So speaking of which, that picture, yeah, was a beautiful moment to share with you guys. In fact, I think my wife feels the same because it's now her Facebook profile pic. So, so yeah, Worry Week 35 is where I started, and yeah, I didn't know what to expect. It's I can remember the date, December 5th, 2017. I get a Voxer message that tomorrow morning training begins, men. I have no idea what that means, but I'm ready to roll. And it was 4 or 5 days into it, and I was very calculated in that I would try to be the last guy because I would always wait to see what's everybody else saying, you know. And it was day 4 or 5, and it's been a, you know, primarily because I spent all my time in business and I own the businesses. It's been a long time since I'd ever really had anybody raise their voice at me, or, you know, my wife would, of course. Yeah. But to have another man really call you out, I can't remember the last time that had happened to me. And so I think it was day 5 in Warrior Week 35. I got on and gave a surfacey bullshit answer to an assignment. And, oh, my God, I got ripped so hard. And I was pissed, but I felt this fire inside. It's like, well, this kind of feels good. Like,
Yeah.
I'm starting to feel alive. And I'm going to show that son of a bitch.
Yeah.
I got passion. So my wife and the kids are home, and I'm like, I'm going to yell this fucking answer that I really want to give. So I'm out in my garage by myself, and I take a deep dive into, you know, some things that from my childhood, from, you know, drug abuse, sexual abuse, and I get done, and I'm like, man, that felt so good. And now if he doesn't think I'm in, hopefully he knows I'm in. And then I think that night was, you know, it was, you came out and said, that was fucking beautiful. And you used the words, you're not alone.
Yeah.
You're not alone, brother. And
You broke the ice that night, man.
yeah. So that was the kind of like the very first breakthrough for me in Warrior. you know, where I'm like, you know what, I'm not alone. This miserable fog, fucked up feeling I've been feeling for all these years now, and I can see how it's impacting my life. Like, okay, I got an avenue here of people that I can trust and talk to, and that's when I felt like okay, I'm all in. And so, rolling the clock forward a little bit, I worked through Warrior Week 35.
Yeah.
Christian, as he said, he wanted to move to Colorado and smoke weed and snowboard all day. He played up, obviously, I'm going to be a snowboard instructor and all business reasons, live out my dream a little bit. He left the weed part out for me. But so we helped get him moved out there, and I'm working through Warrior Week 35. And it was a Monday. I think he mentioned to me he was going to go on a date with some gal that he met that night. But like 2 or 3 days goes by, and we can't reach him. And my wife's like freaking out. I said he was on a date. They probably tied one on. I'm thinking, maybe he's doing some fun stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like 2 days later, late that night, he called me and he said, "What's going on? Why you guys keep calling me?" I'm like, "Man, dude, we've been trying to reach you for like 3 days. What's up?" "Nothing. I'm just about to get up and go about my day. I said, "Christian, it's 8:30 at night." And you're like, "It is?" So we knew something was wrong. So my wife gets on an airplane and comes out to Vail and calls. She's going to check out what's going on. And if things are bad, I'd follow her out. And meanwhile, I'm in touch with you throughout this process. I'm in touch with all my brothers from Warrior Week 35. And, man, that's just the support, like, that we were feeling. I was feeling from you, from Coach Jesse, the guys in my Warrior Week group. It was overwhelming, man. And so we get out here, and Vail Valley is a small hospital, so we move him down to Denver. And through that process, Sam was very in touch with me. My brothers in Warrior Week 35 were all in touch with me. And my wife and I are sitting in this ER in Denver with Christian. And she'd gone down to the cafeteria. And I'm sitting on the sofa, and I can hear him start crying. And now my mind had opened up a little bit. Like, I was starting to go to a different place personally. And who knows where if that same situation, had I not gone into Warrior, I probably would have pretended you weren't crying. Because, wow, shit, something's wrong. I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
But I knew I could hear him crying. And I'm like, okay. So I walk around to the other side of the bed. And I put my arm around you, and I said, "Son, we're going to be okay. We're going to figure this out." And you said, "Dad," and you never cussed in front of me. I know you're a big boy now. Huh? But you never cussed in front of me. I said, "Are you okay?" And he says, "No, Dad, I don't fucking remember where I live. I don't fucking remember what happened to me. Like, what the fuck? What's my future got in store?" And I said, "Son, I don't know the answer to that, but we'll get the answers. We're going to work with the doctors. We'll get some answers." And shortly after that, I called you to let you know what was going on, because Warrior Week 35 was happening where we all come into Laguna that week. So I remember I'd stepped out of the hospital to call you, let you give me an update.
Sure.
And you said, "Sam, I don't think I can leave him in this situation, but I want to be there so bad. I'm really torn. Like, I need to do this for me and my family, but I need to be here at this moment for him. And your advice was follow your heart and do what you think is right." And so I did. I stayed with my son. And that day I went back up to the hospital. It was a few hours later, and I'd gotten a message from you. And I was going to play it, but it was on Voxer, so go through the speaker. And I'm thinking, boy, the nurses here, Coach Sam, they're really going to freak out.
Yeah.
So I waited till the room cleared out a little bit, and I stick the phone up to my ear, and it's a message to my son, who you had never met. You'd heard his name. You knew the situation. And it was the most beautiful thing. I listened to it myself, and I looked at him, and I said, "Man, are you in a clear place right now?" And you said, "Yeah." You remember this?
I remember that.
I said, "I want you to listen to this." And it was, man, it was a God thing. That's all I can say. the 180 I saw him do in his life in that moment, from looking at me crying, saying, "What the fuck has my life got?" All changed to this guy that I'd never seen him before in all the years he's been alive. It's like this look of determination, and he did take David Powell's and picture and make it the background of his phone.
Yeah.
And the doctors are coming in, he's like, "Okay, what's next? What's next? What's next?" Versus, walking around with his head down.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking to myself, my God, this is amazing. Like, the gift that my son has just been given came from a group of guys that I took the action to do something with. And it was really at that point where I'm like, man, you know what? I can help this guy. I can have what I want with him because I got these guys helping me. I have the tools. They're going to show me how. And that message just changed everything in our lives from that point, Sam.
So going back to that message, I remember that message. In fact, we made a movie about it recently, and we put it on Facebook. We'll have it here on the podcast page as well. We'll put that movie on, the movie that we made about Christian, and the inside of that, there's a message that was played. So if anybody wants to hear that. But I want to go back to this whole process, right? I want to go back to the conversation of shifting. And the shift happened to you the night where you actually gave yourself permission to listen to your heart. Most of your life, you've never listened to your fucking heart. You've listened to your mind, and your mind has given you everything that you have so far. Listening to your heart was an unfamiliar decision. Last time you listened to your heart is when you married your wife. Last time you listened to your heart when you held your son in your hand when he was a baby, or the time that you had with him. But to trust your heart and make a decision about that was the shift. So and that transcended into Christian. And it wasn't the fucking message. It wasn't Worry Week 35. It wasn't me. It wasn't the worry. And it was none of that shit. It was your heart that listened to your son for the first time after a while. You said it here, right here in this fucking place. That you sat in the hospital and you heard him. He talked and you heard him. And it's not like you heard him because you accepted his reality. You accepted your own fucking reality. That because of your fucking actions, your son is in the fucking hospital. You had the courage to accept that. Because the leadership is on fucking you, motherfucker. 100%. You're 100% responsible for the people that you're leading. And he's the first one down in line. For a while, you refused to accept this shit because he was going through some pain because you wanted to refuse to accept that there was something wrong in your leadership inside of your family. That night, you shifted because you give yourself permission to listen to him. And when you listen to him, you open this whole environment and everything else that happened after for it to happen. It was like a fucking domino effect. Everything took place after simply you being able to hear your son that night and act upon your voice. You didn't come to Worry Week 35. You were looking forward to that because you were looking forward to the transformation. And you worked your ass off in the preparation. You went all in. You quit fucking smoking. You were smoking a pack a day. By the time Worry Week 35 was about to start, you didn't even fucking smoke. You were down into one, and you had to call me for permission to smoke in that one. But you did that after how many years you were smoking?
25 years.
25 fucking years. Something was happening. You were looking forward to come to that week. And yet, you experienced your own Warrior Week. That week itself with Christian going through the pain that he was going. And you leading as a father and as a husband. Talk about your leadership that week, man. How that felt. How Christian was seeing you and how your wife was seeing you that week.
I think I'll tell you exactly how I felt. I felt like I was leading. I felt a connection, but I felt like it'd taken us so far to get where we had gotten in this dark place that they were happy, but I also believe that they felt like this is momentary.
Oh.
That this isn't going to last.
Yeah.
And so as that week progressed, I could see, the connection you and I had, and mom's like, hey, you're showing up mentally, like you're engaged, your heart's in this. But I could sense this feeling, like everybody thought it was just going to be a temporary phase, which now, the voice inside of me was saying all the time, you fuck up, you piece of shit, you're a horrible father, you're a horrible husband, you're terrible to this. And I had perfected shutting that voice off. Like, it just didn't, because I never wanted to hear what I had to say. And for the first time since, Sam, 25 years, this voice is saying, here's your shot, man. Here's your shot. They open their hearts. They like what they see. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. And that's exactly what I fucking did.
So I want you guys to for you that are listening or watching the show, I want you to think about, if you're a father, you have two options. And both those options are going to occur in your leadership. You can lead your son to your own fucking pit. You can lead your son to your own fucking pit if you avoid listening to your family, to your loved ones, to the pain that you're feeling and the pain that you're causing for them. Your pain resides in your fucking pit. And when you decide to hang out in your fucking pit, guess who else wants to fucking hang out in your pit? Your kids. Because they just want to hang out with you. But you decide to go in this fucking dark place, and they innocently follow you. You find patterns and you find ways to numb your pain. Drugs, alcohol, porn, Netflix, sports, any kind of fucking sedation, business. Yeah, business. Staying at work and playing with the fucking staple, moving it from left side of the table to the right side of the table just to fucking avoid going home inside of the chaos. Your work is done around 5 and 6, but you remain in the office until 9, 10, playing with your fucking Outlook Express and auto-adjusting the auto-reply in case you're not in the fucking office. Organizing your notes and all kind of fucking useless shit because you're avoiding the courage that is required for you to go back at home and transition into the father, the leader, the husband. Yet most of you see that as chaos, so you want to avoid the fucking chaos and the pain that resides inside of the chaos. Many of you find yourself in a fucking bar. Many of you find yourself in some fucking sport club, smoking cigars, playing billiard, fucking poker, name it, gambling, casinos, whores, stripped, you fucking name it. You're going to find a way to numb the pain. And when you do that, you're living inside of your fucking pit with this pain that resides inside of you. And all you're doing is that you're welcoming your kids to come and sit in the same fucking pit that you created for yourself. Which in their turn, they're going to find a way to numb their pain. And they're not really familiar with this fucking pain. They just don't like it. So they have their own ways. Weed, disconnection, heroin, fucking pills left and right. All kind of pills right now. Just pop a fucking pills and that's it. Your problem's over. It's not as easy as just like, okay, let me just drink and it's done. There's no consequences other than being blacked out. You take these fucking pills and your brain is gone. Under the assumption that, hey, no, I feel okay. I'm okay now. Your pit is not a place for your kids and for your children. So, your leadership can lead them inside of the pit, or your leadership can create a frame for your son or your daughters and your children to follow you and create the same frame. And we're going to talk about this with Christian. So, you come you obviously don't come to Warrior Week 35, and then deep down inside of you, you want to complete this process. Christian starts feeling better. Things are starting being a little bit more established, and you seem to find yourself more present at home now because of this entire process. You knock at the door and say, hey, I want to come into 36. How can I come in, right? And it was almost like it was that voice again in the middle of the night. Yep. So talk to us exactly about that and what happened. And
Sure. So we got Christian's health issues headed in a much better direction.
Yeah.
But the process of leading, kind of waking up and accepting the facts of really where I was that moment, not where I've been, just where was I that day, and knowing that having that openness in my heart and being connected, and the voice that I'd learned to suppress and drain and just block out of my head was back, and what I was hearing was it wasn't telling me everything I wanted to hear, but the things it was saying to me were things that I knew I needed to do in order to lead my family in the direction we needed to go. And so I jumped into Warrior Week 36, and in the meantime, I'd been suffering some neck pain.
Yeah.
And so a spinal surgeon out of Denver, Colorado, Dr. Michael Jansen, one of the best ones in the country, offered to he said, get an MRI, send it out to me. And this is in the course of prepping for Warrior Week 36. And he calls me, he says, I got some really bad news for you. I said, what's going on? He said, you got a problem with your discs, and it's so severe that just a mild jolt to your neck, you get rear-ended in a car, it'll be a life-ending event for you because the nerves are being compressed there, and those are the same nerves that control your ability to breathe. At the very least, you'll be paralyzed from the neck down. I said, well, I thought I needed a cortisone shot or something. He's like, no, you need a whole disc in your neck replaced. And I'm like, oh, shit. Man, I got to go to Warrior Week 36. So I said, when do you want to do this? He's like, tomorrow. So my wife's like, let's go. So we go on a plane, and they cut in here and put a new disc in the back of my neck. And I'm back home, and I'm kind of staying involved with Warrior Week 36 through my recovery process. And I was feeling pretty good. And so it's the night before Warrior Week 36 starts. Meanwhile, the voice is saying, whether your neck's fucked up or not, you got to keep leading at home. That's the most important thing. And I'm laying in bed thinking about, man, I want to be there. I want to be there. And the voice is saying to me, you need to be there. You got to be there. So I wake up at like 3:30 in the morning, and I'm like, man, I know there's a flight to L.A. out of Kansas City where I live at 5:30. I'm like, I'm getting on, and I'm going to go. I don't know if they're going to let me in at this point, but I'm going. So I text you and Garrett, and jump on my flight. And, of course, my flight has no Wi-Fi, so I'm on this 3-hour plane ride going, oh, man, I don't know if I'm flying here and turning around and flying back home. What's going to happen? So I land, and Garrett and my wife had been communicating when I had my surgery, just to know he was asking for updates on how I was doing. So I called her right when I landed, and she said, Garrett messaged me. She said, did that crazy, I said, what did he say? She said, he said, did that crazy motherfucker get on an airplane and come out here? And she said, yeah. He woke up in the middle of the night. He said something about a voice talking to him. Like, I didn't know whether I should take him to a psychiatrist. And his response was, I fucking love it.
Yeah.
So I showed up, and I met you guys at the cemetery. Yeah. And rightfully so, because I had not participated in every aspect of the prep work of Warrior Week 36, which is so critical.
Sure.
Rightfully so. I had asked for you and Coach Jesse's permission to come, and that wasn't an easy process. But most importantly, I'd asked my brothers in that class if they'd accept me, given all the circumstances.
Sure.
And those men unanimously accepted me, and I'll be eternally grateful to them.
Yeah.
So I went through the Warrior Week 36 experience.
And you graduated from Warrior Week 36. But I want you to look back and look at just the past couple of months that you described here, how life has punched you in your face to tell you, wake the fuck up, Rusty. Right? First, the incident with your son.
Mm-hmm.
And then inside of that, you're like, if you wouldn't gone to that surgery,
I would die.
you would die.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not me saying it. It's like one of the top surgeons in the world that's fucking said it. It's like, there's no like, of course, no one can predict death. But at this point, with that condition, paralyzed at a minimum, like you said, right? So listening to the voice, the same voice that you shut down in the past 10 years, 6 years, like you said, 25 years, now you're tuned into that voice and you're listening to that voice. You listen to that voice to listen to your son. You listen to that voice to call the fucking doctor and figure out what's going on with this. You listen to that same voice to come in and experience Warrior Week 36 and graduate. Inside of that, this continuous permission of yourself, listening to the voice and trusting the voice, this voice that we talked about, right? And this conversation is simple, right? The voice is our guidance or God, what we believe in. Doesn't matter what fucking religion you come from. Like, there is a higher power up there, and that's the higher power that talks to us and guides us. You've shut him down for years, man.
Mm-hmm.
And on those mountains, you found him.
Yeah.
But if you would have never taken that fucking phone call at that boring fucking conference, right? And if your ego would have come in, right? Okay, I want to fucking paint the picture for you guys. Like, we're not talking to a guy at aisle 13 in Home fucking Depot. We're talking about to a powerful fucking alpha. Multi-million-dollar businesses, thousands of people depending on him, his family depending on him. We're talking about an influential businessman. An influential businessman, motherfuckers. Someone that makes a fucking difference every day in thousands of people's life. Every fucking day. That's the person that we're talking about. And inside of that, you giving yourself permission to step out of that conference and having that 30-minute conversation. And I wasn't nice to you. I didn't give a fuck who you were. All I knew is there was a man that was hurt on the other line of the phone because of the shit that you wrote in your application and how you presented yourself. I knew you were in pain. Doesn't matter if you had money pain. Didn't matter if you had relationship pain. Didn't fucking matter. It was one common fucking pain, and I keep talking about this inside of this podcast. All of the men coming into Warrior Week come in for one common fucking pain found inside of the pit, and that's operating alone. Not socially alone. Rusty was not socially alone. But operating alone. Not having a place where you can process pain and get guidance and have a blueprint on how to deal with the most fundamental shit, which is, fuck, I raised my son for 21 years, and suddenly I don't know why there's a gap between me and my son. Where the fuck this fog came from? And I feel paralyzed because I can't do anything about it. Yet, I can go out there and make millions of dollars, but I can't fix this shit. And so, talk about the voice. Talk about finding that, and talk about trusting that, and talk about how that led to where you are today and continuously leads you every single day. The biggest gift you got inside of this whole experience was listening to your own fucking heart, listening to that voice. We didn't give you a blue script. We didn't give you a fucking script or a blueprint. We didn't give you the magical pill. We didn't give you anything. We didn't do anything. We're not fucking gurus. We're not better than you. We're fucking nothing but our own experience and what we felt in our own heart and the stories that we told, and an invitation for you to do the same. So talk about that, Rusty, brother.
Sure. So going back to, Warrior, what I got from Warrior was I got the tools to find all the answers that I've been searching so long for right inside of me. And, it's not an easy process. We all know that. It's hard work, really hard work. And it's going to some really dark places. But if you learn to trust and accept that voice inside of you, even when it's not comfortable, it takes you to a whole nother place. My wife, that distance I had with my kids, I had with my wife. And when I was asked to rate our marriage on a 1 to 10, I gave it a 5. I had some 4 to 6 range, so I averaged it at 5. She gave it a 1. In fact, it told me that this past fall, she was strongly considering divorcing me, and even being encouraged by our daughter to perhaps do that.
Yeah.
And to hear that, it's like, man, what have I done? And so now, using these tools to help find the answers from within myself and trusting that voice, my wife will be the very first person to tell you we've been married 22 years, been together 26 years. 2017 was the best year of our lives together. The woman who go through a brick wall for me now, as I would for her. And so just trusting the process, trusting that voice inside myself. You know, he and I want him to share his story, but, you know, the connection we made with me connecting from my heart and not coming home with these surface bullshit conversations, but connecting through our hearts, just changed everything. And then next thing I know, you know, here I think I'm this badass guru businessman, entrepreneur. I'm kicking ass. I'm a badass entrepreneur. You know what I learned is I'm operating at like 30% because the rest of my life was so fucked up where I thought I was doing so well as a businessman and justifying my bullshit in my life because I'm this badass businessman. I'm going at 30% because I know all day while I'm at the office, I'm thinking in the back of my head, I'm a fucking idiot. I'm a terrible dad. I'm a terrible husband. And I'm not taking care of my body the way I should. And I didn't realize all the impact it had in my business. And so it just, every day, you know, when I would wake up in the morning and not hear a voice saying, you fucking idiot, you dipshit, motherfucker, blah, 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 this voice saying, you know what, you're going the right way. You're going the right way. What are you going to do today for your wife? What are you going to do for Christian today? What are you going to do for Casey today? What are you going to do for yourself today? And, man, it just pushed me. It's like everything in my life is just, it's different. Everything. Even the parts I thought were working, like business or other things, they weren't working. I was showing up 50%. Now I'm so fucking excited because now I'm 100%. I'm 85. But
It's beautiful to see how 4 questions daily changes your fucking life.
Yeah.
What I'm going to do for myself, what I'm going to do for my son, what I'm going to do for my daughter, what I'm going to do for my wife. The key word is what? Today. Because no doubt, you and I and many others will ask ourselves this once in a while. Make a habit and a routine to do that every single morning. The first thing that you wake up and 4 fucking questions you ask yourself. What am I going to do for myself today? What am I going to do for my wife? What am I going to do for my children today? And that drives you. That gives you power. You want to call it fucking gratitude exercise, whatever the fuck you want to call it, is this 4 questions that you ask yourself daily. Yourself, the wife, and the children. That's your script. That's your life script. That gives you power. Because the place that you need to lead is at home before thinking about leading anywhere else. If you're not leading at home and you're leading everywhere else, you're fucking misleading, period. Don't give a fuck if you have millions of followers on Instagram, thousands of people working for you. I don't give a flying fuck. If you are not leading at home, you are misleading everybody else because you're not operating from a place of truth and experience. Leadership starts at home, period. Same thing goes into the military system. Same thing. If you're not leading at home, you're not going to fucking lead in war. You may pretend that you're leading, but it's not going to last a while because it's not based on the truth. The truth is you must lead from home.
And that's exactly what we did. So rolling the clock forward from there, I'm leading, and I'm leading my son. And every day, he's seeing changes in me. And he's asking me a lot of questions as it relates to Warrior. He's still, now he's going to the gym every day. I don't think he'd ever seen a gym before that, had you? Anyway, going to the gym every day, and I come home and I see him over on the side, and he's weighing out his chicken. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? It's like, I'm fueling my body, Dad. I'm like,
Nice.
that's a win.
Nice.
So, I think Christian saw this major transformation in me. Like the death of me happened. When I went and got my neck done, that was like the death of who I was.
Yeah.
And I was reborn into this guy that I got to work really hard every day to be, but he got to sit there and see that firsthand. And so that's when he, every day he's like, Dad, how can I get involved in Warrior? How do I get involved in Warrior? So I think that's kind of.
Yeah, we're going to hear from Christian now. So pass the mic to Christian. Put it right around your lips. So, yeah, you kept fucking knocking at the door. And your dad kept busting my balls. Hey, man, what about Christian? Can we get him in? And we built this crazy fucking program called Warrior X in 2000. What the fuck was it? 16 or 17? Motherfucker. It just doesn't seem like 2017. It seems like it was an ancient program. But it was 2017. And we built this version of Warrior we called Warrior X. And we built 10 of them. And it was very intense. Basically, we took the intensity of Warrior Week and we multiplied it by 4 or 5, and we reduced the time frame into 48 hours, so it was an immersion. 48 hours, almost no fucking sleep, and it was an immersion to wake you the fuck up, right? And so you come to Warrior X 10, the last one, and talk about that experience, man. What draw you to that? Obviously, it was your dad that built the frame. And you wanted the same frame in your life because what you were seeing in your dad, you wanted in your life. So talk about that. What were you seeing in your dad, and why did you wanted that for you as a young man? And then inside of that, talk about your Warrior X experience and what you got out of it and where you are today, brother.
Definitely. So going back a little bit, I was living in Colorado, and like I said, I'd wake up every day, and I didn't want to think. I would just want to smoke and block out my thoughts as much as possible because I hated who I was. I had struggled with making friends out there. I was just not happy. And I remember my dad telling me, "Oh, I'm going to start this Warrior program. I'm going to start doing better." And I'm like, "Okay, whatever." It'd been years of hearing that, and there was multiple times where he'd go through good times, and ultimately he'd go back to that same person in the pit. And I'd kind of just given up. I was like, okay, this is just another thing. And I kept hearing more and more about Warrior from him, and I was kind of hearing he was doing better at home. And then I still didn't want to believe it. I just was being a total bum out there. And I was smoking something out there called oil. It's basically just like concentrated marijuana, and they have butane in it to get it.
Yeah.
Normally they're supposed to clean it out. Well, I got a hold of some that it hadn't been cleaned out properly. So it was basically like I was huffing gas when hitting it.
Yeah.
And there was that 3-day period they were talking about where nobody could get a hold of me. And when they finally did, I just did not sound right. Everything I said was confusing. I woke up and thought it was early in the morning. It ended up being 9 or 10 o'clock at night, or I think it was 8. My memory's a little hazy around there because what ended up happening is I was brought to the hospital in Vail because my mom had flown out there worried about me, and they had told me I had a seizure, and I don't even really remember the part at the hospital. I don't even know if I woke up there or not, but Vail could not figure out what was going on, and I was kind of getting freaked out a little bit, and so they put me in an ambulance, and I remember about 5 minutes of the ambulance ride down to Denver, and then the next day is when I finally woke up and kind of felt clear-headed again. And I'm looking around, I'm like, okay, where the fuck am I? I was in my apartment a day ago or second ago, what's going on? And all these doctors start rushing in, talking to me, trying to explain what happened. Oh, you had a seizure. You'd laid on your apartment for a while, or I guess my muscles were shutting down just because I hadn't moved in so long. And I was missing so many memories. Something had gone wrong with my brain where I couldn't remember where I lived. They asked me what my last memory was. And I was like, oh, I think I remember coming home from Christmas. Oh, okay, that's a start. And then my mom and dad chimed in, and they said he didn't come home for Christmas. He stayed here in Vail. So
yeah.
At that point, I'm hearing that, and my life just felt like it started squeezing in on me. Everything felt like it was strangling me. I was so scared. I couldn't remember my dog's name, anything. And then there was that moment where I started bawling. I'm returning to my dad. I'm like, Dad, what the fuck am I going to do? Like, I'm already been a fucking piece of shit. Like, I was a snowboard instructor. I actually lost my job because I didn't put enough effort in there. And I had all this memory loss, still felt like a piece of shit and hated myself. And I broke down crying. And around that time, later that day, I got that message from you. And I remember sitting there listening to it. And something kind of just woke up in me. I was like, this warrior shit's not bullshit. Like, my dad's actually been holding to the changes he's been doing lately. Like, and this guy's like I feel like he's speaking directly to him, and he's never met me in my life. And he's speaking directly to my heart. And I kind of I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to follow my dad's lead right now. I'm not going to follow the patterns I have been before where he sedated, I sedated. He lied, I lied, all that. And I remember, the doctors kept coming in and were like, okay, we're going to do this. I'm like, all right, great, let's go. And I just wanted to push along the process as fast as I could just to keep doing better. It just started this overwhelming determination. And especially, I just kept seeing him get better and better, and it fueled me. And I don't know, roll the clock forward a little bit.
So I'm gonna stop you for a second and just emphasize exactly on what I talked about not too long ago, which is there are two ways as a dad that you can lead your children. One, you can lead them in your own goddamn fucking pit, this dark place that you are hanging in, that you're numbing your pain and you're hanging out in your fucking pit in this dark place where your patterns and behaviors are copied exactly by your children. So we're going to talk about this, right? You just said this, that, hey, I'm not going to fucking follow the same old patterns, which was sedating with drugs and disconnection and alcohol, which was something that you saw in your dad and you were actually mimicking.
Mm-hmm.
Not that you did that in order for him to pick this up. And most of the time when you were doing that, Rusty, you were fucking hiding that shit. He wasn't seeing it. But the point is, whether you hide it or not, energetically, your children are going to pick up your patterns. Energetically, your children are going to pick up your certainty, your confidence, your ability to listen to the voice. Your children are going to pick up those patterns, whether you want it or you don't want it. And the more you fucking hide it and the more you lie, the more you are telling them that it's okay to lie and become liars. And this chain of reaction will continue. And when we talk about the systematic sedation of man, that is exactly what is taking place. Father and son sedating based on lies. And the truth simply sets you free. So you can lead your children into the pit, or you can lead your children in the frames that you create that empower you. In this particular case, living the warrior's way was the frame that Rusty created for himself and followed. Now you have Christian that wants to adopt the same frame because he sees his dad in power. He wants the same fucking power. Mm-hmm. And he wants the same frame, the same way of living, the same patterns, and ultimately the same 4 questions that he's going to be asking himself. Now, I'm not saying the warrior's way is the only frame that you can create as a dad. But if you don't create a framework that allows you to empower you, then you are not empowering your children. Period. And in this conversation of the warrior's way, the power resides in the truth and the ability not to fucking lie and deal with the fucking consequences of your action. So, Christian, talk about you coming in, your Warrior X experience. What were you seeking, right? You come to your Warrior X. It's a hard-ass program. Most guys are like twice your age. So what were you looking for?
So, rolling the clock back forward, my dad had kind of finished up, or he'd just gotten into Warrior Week 36. And all those changes I had talked about earlier, they were sticking with him. So that's when I was picking up on. I'm like, okay, he's stopped smoking. He's like made his relationship with my sister better, who earlier this year was telling him like, oh, Mom, you should get a divorce. Him and my mom were like laughing and hanging out, and that was something I just hadn't seen in so long. So I remember like
we were doing more than that. Sorry about
Rusty's back.
yeah. But so yeah, I was seeing this, and I was in that place still a little bit. Like I was feeling better definitely after the seizures and getting your message, but I was still in that place where I was depressed and like, all right, he's doing all this, and he just keeps getting better and better. So instead of waking up in the morning going straight to how can I block out my thoughts, it was all right, what can I do to get better today? What can I do to like be more in touch with my family and everything?
You started asking the first question. That's fucking beautiful, man. Which is, what can I do for myself today?
And around that time, I was like, all right, I'll start with my diet and I'll start working out. Like I'd always been in action sports and like outside and stuff, but I was kind of pudgy, didn't watch what I ate at all. Just go to a Chipotle or something every day, get a big ass fat burrito or something.
Yeah.
And my mom had been, she'd done all these fitness competitions. So I started asking her, I was like, all right, hey, can you help set me up like a diet plan or something? And then I asked my dad if I could have his workout plan he'd gotten from a trainer. Started applying those, and then every morning I was waking up, going to the gym. I was eating like pretty much just grilled chicken, vegetables, and rice every day. And it sucked a lot at first. I fucking hated it at first.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I always had that feeling where I accomplished something today. I did something rather than just sit around, fucking smoke, and waste my life.
So the patterns of taking care of yourself created the patterns and the routines to indirectly reconnect with your mom, with your dad, and it's just like everything is falling in place.
Yeah.
You come to Warrior Week, Warrior X 10, day one. What did you want from that experience, and what did you got out of it? And how is that serving you today?
So yeah, I was asking those questions. What can I do to be better? And that's when I got the opportunity to come to Warrior X, and I immediately hopped into it and was doing all the classwork and everything. And I remembered like going over all the questions and everything you'd ask us with the assignments every day. I kept getting deeper and deeper inside myself. I'm like, okay, I fucking hated who I am a lot of my life. Like I've always felt nervous around people. I'm just all these things. And I remember going in the first day, I'm like, you know what? Actually, right before the first day, I met with Garrett. He said the couple things that really stuck with me, and one of them was be the first in the game and go all in. And I remember the first day in there, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to try harder than any motherfucker here, and I'm going to get real, and I'm going to lay it out all out on the floor. I'm going to give this 100% my best shot. And I was just looking for that same happiness and freedom I was seeing my dad start to have in his life, which if you'd known my dad at the time, it didn't seem like something that was ever fucking possible.
Yeah.
We'd gotten so far down into that pit that I didn't ever see us coming out. I thought that was my life. So that first day, I remember walking back into my hotel room, and we'd done all these physical challenges, answered all these questions. I'm like, that was one of the hardest fucking things I've ever done in my life, and I've never fucking felt better.
Yeah. Good.
And
How is that serving you today? Today, as a young man, how is that serving you today? That experience, and what did that change about you? Just you. Forget your dad. We're talking about enough him.
yeah. So with me, it completely changed my outlook on life. Like I said, I thought I was going to be stuck being this miserable kid, that I was going to always be awkward and hate myself, and just was going to always have to hide from everything. And after going through Warrior X, it gave me those tools, and it kind of woke me up a little bit to start taking care of myself mentally, physically, and emotionally. Every day, I kept asking that first question, what can I do to get better? What can I do for my family? And I kept watching all these things just keep stacking up, and things kept getting better and better. I'm like, I just want to keep fucking running in this direction. I love it.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And stories such as yours, we had plenty of them. After you came in, many fathers and sons stepped in, and The leadership of the father is coming in and making the changes and building a frame of power, right? Kids are connected to their parents now inside of the game of Warrior, not from a place of force because he's fucking dad, but from a place of power. Your power attracted him to you. You projected power, and he was attracted to that power. Not force. You didn't project force. Because nowadays kids say fuck you to force. Heck, we said fuck you to horse. Well, we didn't say it as loud as they're able to say it. Nowadays, it's like, you're not forcing any shit on me. I have my own voice. Power is different. When you projected power, he was attracted to that power. And so many other dads came into Warrior Week, and they went home and they built this frame where inside of that frame, they're powerful dads. And they projected, particularly on their sons, same age than you. You met a few. Derek, which is Michael's son, and then Steven, which is Steve's sons, and then you got Zachary, that was a Phil's son. We're going to tell all their stories, and they're very similar than yours. Their dad woken up and decided to come out of the fucking pit, and therefore, by default, you were no longer following your dad inside of the same goddamn fucking pit.
Exactly.
Your dad saw a possibility and give you and guided you that possibility. You leaped, motherfucker. You leaped towards the possibility. And that's why he's following you today. And he's going to be followed already by his friends because they're asking him, what the fuck are you doing, man? How is this relationship with your dad? This fucking podcast. Your friends are going to listen to this podcast, bro. This is real talk. We're not hiding any shit. Your business partners and all the other guys that are coming to Warrior Week 43, your friends, they're all going to listen to this, and many others. Your employees are all going to listen to this. And this is setting an example of leadership, which is simple. If you don't lead fucking from home, you're not leading anywhere. You're misleading, period. You're a fucking liar. Lead at home. Everything that we do here inside of this program called Warrior is to awaken you to this reality that your leadership is required at home for your wife and your kids. That your wife and your children are waiting for you to leap. Just like Rusty did. And just like Christian. Like, seeing that picture is it's the result of a year of living this way. Not a week, not a fucking seminar or an event or a fucking boot camp that you came into and you got inspiration from. No, there's no fucking inspiration. There's no fucking motivation here. Nobody fucking motivated you. No one motivated you. There was no client concierge. There was nothing. There was simply the reality. Here's a fucking mirror. Look at yourself in the goddamn fucking mirror. Do you like what you see? No, then fuck you. Same to you. Fuck you and your weed. And fuck you and your sedation in business. Now, what are you going to do about it? I didn't do anything. Your brothers didn't do anything. Nobody else did anything. You just got clear on what you wanted. It's like, the guy I see in the mirror, I kind of don't want to be that guy. Like, not kind of. I fuck that guy. But most of your life, you never had the courage to stay that long in front of the mirror. You would see a glance of that guy and build up your own assumptions and justification that, hey, I got this. I'll fix that guy one day. Let me go ahead and fix this shit right now. And this structure just held you a little bit longer in front of the mirror for you to get that clarity. Mm-hmm. And because you did that, and because you lived that for a year, and because your marriage is a 10, because she said it was 10, we asked her, said, okay, what's the number now? She goes, boom, 10. I'll go, shit. Rusty, you jumped from 1 to 10, bro. And because your son is sitting here, and because you're so open in this story, in this conversation, and there's no lies, there's no hidden secrets. This is attractive to so many other dads and so many other kids your age, man. Like, people are going to hit you up on Facebook. Christian Ram, just hit him up. Say, dude, like, I want the same relationship that you have your dad. If you're a young man listening to this, this is possible. There's going to be more stories of fathers and sons that we're going to tell. But for today, I want to thank my guests, Rusty Ram and Christian Ram, for being here. Thank you guys for being here and sharing the story.
Thanks for having us, Coach.
We're going to, I invite you guys to go to warriorweeknow.com for a full version of this podcast, and as well as Christian videos and more details about their stories and other episode. And if you haven't subscribed yet to Warrior Week podcast, Parables from the Pit, go ahead and do that. All you got to do is go to iTunes and search on the Warrior Week and go ahead and subscribe to that. Thanks for being with us on this show. Thank you guys again.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Sam.